what's up, everyone? It's another episode of Everything Always Works Out podcast. It's me, Arthur. I'm here with my co-host Alonzo, aka DJ Zobe
Hey,
One.
yo.
Um, Happy Wednesday, everyone. Um, I've been meaning to ask you, Alonzo. I've been seeing on Twitter and on Instagram some drama happening in the DJ community, and it's about DJ Qbert. You want to elaborate on it? Have you heard anything about it? Do you know anything? I've been meaning to ask you because you're a DJ, man. And seeing some of the comments that Cubert's been saying is kind of like sus. Like, huh? Okay, bro, sure. Like, what is this guy?
Yeah,
Like, what is this guy on?
I don't really know. I think a lot of people don't know what's really going on, other than that he made those comments.
Mm-hmm.
In the comments we're talking about is, he retweeted some conspiracy theories about like the riots, and he made a comment about like Trump and like, oh, like he's gonna clobber Biden in the debates, and like he was just like hyping him up like that he's like a like kind of like what is it, how do you say, like entertaining the bully aspect of Trump, and
He,
stuff,
he was
basically
he was
hyping him up.
he was tweeting some like Kanye-esque tweets, man, and I was like, what the fuck is
Right.
this
It's
guy
like
on right
some
now?
MAGA red hat stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that level. And then people called him out for it. I mean, this is like open public information now. It's
Mm-hmm.
what is it? I saw like some hip hop folks like what was it? DJ Craze was calling him out, calling him a buster
Mm-hmm. Oh
for
wait,
doing for
you know what
yeah,
we should
DJ
do?
Craze.
You know what we
Uh-huh.
should do for people who don't know?
Or
You want to give a little like uh, description of who DJ Qbert is, in case people don't know who he is and his
Okay, if
background.
you've been living under the rock or you're not familiar with DJing, hip hop, and turntablism, that culture, DJ Qbert is credited with he's known as a scratch DJ,
Mm-hmm.
like that's like his main thing. But he's definitely part of the coming out of the 90s, the Bay Area scene, turntablism, and I think the famous move that he came up with was called the crab, which really is something that, if you really look at it, it was a development from like Mixmaster Mike. Like Mixmaster Mike was doing like the twiddle, and he just added like the extra two other fingers on top. Where when you watch a DJ do his thing, there's that little knob in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he's doing like this fast, rapid pace kind of like move to make the sound sound hella crazy, like a violinist or a piano person doing like triplets type of sound, or like when you listen to trap music, that hi hat, that but instead of that, it's like a scratch version of that.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what he's kind of like really famous for. And just so well around, it's not, this controversy doesn't take away from his contributions to DJing or scratching or hip hop turntablism. It just makes a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to him, like, because you're participating like hip hop. At the end of the day, yeah, you got people like Cuber, like who else? Myself, for example. A lot of people are like not black who are participants in the culture, you know. And for him to say some of the things that he says in those tweets and retweeting it, it's just like a slap in the face. Like, you're profiting. He's profited off the culture,
Yeah.
and that's the point that people are making. Is like, you're profiting off the culture because he's got a business called Thud Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And they sell all kinds of DJ records and paraphernalia, merchandise, and it's a big brand. Like, it's his bread and butter. That's how he's been able to live. Like, because he's not a normal DJ where like you got to work every freaking week at parties and stuff. He plays at like festivals and very like niche kind of like events.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he has Thud Rumble. That's his other source of income.
I didn't even know that was a
And
thing.
right, yeah. So for him to make the comments that he made, especially when he tried to, because after the whole debacle on Twitter happened, people basically, calling them out, like DJ Craze out of Miami. That's a friend of DJ A-Track. That's another DJ out of Canada. Uh, Big name, Duck Sauce, A-Track Duck Sauce. If that song, Barbara Streisand, those are big, like EDM, like hip hop EDM crossover type thing. Um, who else was, I'm forgetting, Dante Ross was another person who was coming at him. He's like a, very prominent, like, in terms of like early hip hop, like in the 90s, like helping a lot of different acts like break it in the industry. So all these different hip hop people are calling him out, like, how can you say this? What are you trying to say? Oh, are you a Trump supporter now? And then he replied back like, all lives matter, haha, bitch, like
Yeah, I
that
saw that shit,
kind
and
of
I was
stuff.
like, dude, what
Right.
are you doing right now? I mean, like, if that's what you really believe in, I mean, I guess, but like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Mhm.
you're basically shitting on everything that's made your career,
Right.
and he definitely does have a big impact on turntablism and what he put into the community. Like for me, like seeing, because if you don't know, Cubert's Asian, just like ourselves.
Filipino to be
Filipino, yeah,
exact.
Filipino to be exact, yeah. And I was introduced to him through my uncle, who is from Vallejo, who is a DJ as well, and he put me on to Cuba. He's like, dude, you gotta check this guy out. Like, he's been putting on for Asians and stuff, and contributed towards the culture and stuff. So just seeing like everything that you just talked about is just a slap in the face to everyone. You know what I'm saying? Because people are just like
Yeah.
taken aback, like, dude, what the fuck? Like, oh
Yeah,
damn.
no, it hit the Asian hip hop scene the hardest
Yeah.
because, dude, especially the Philippine, like, because out of all the Asians, like, I would say,
There's a lot
like
of
the
people who idolize him.
Filipinos,
Yeah.
yeah, like he's that dude in that community, like, because we don't have just Asians in general, we don't have a whole. We're starting to see a new trend lately in the last few years, but prior to that, all throughout the 80s and 90s, and even before then, there wasn't like prominent figures that we can look up to, like a Bruce Lee or something. Like he was one person,
Hmm.
and then Hubert became another person like that for a lot of Asian kids or who are into hip hop coming out of the 90s, 80s and 90s, and for him to like say that, it hurt a lot of people to see him say all these different things, because now it makes us, make us look bad, because then people, because this is a black art form, so a lot of folks, who are originators in the culture, who are black, brown, they're looking at us like, oh, so are you guys, this is how y'all really, is this your guy, this your dude, you know
Hmm.
and we have to be like, yo, not cool. And a lot of us actually, what I saw online, like people like Bamboo's wife, Rocky Rivera, she came out, full swing, like just like, yo, not cool. Like that's he's done in the books for her, very disappointed. But
Yeah.
and she made a whole, she's got a Patreon where she did like she went through she made a whole essay about him, like how what he means to Filipinos and Asian Americans and hip hop, and then how he disappointed the whole community
Yeah, because
basically.
you could definitely say like him and his group, they're
Hmm.
definitely pillars in the community for Asian
Hmm.
Americans who are into turntablism and just that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
like, I mean, has anyone else in his group really called him out on it? Like, did Shortcuts ever say anything, or other like prominent other like Asian DJs
Oh, a
call him
lot of
out?
DJs,
Besides, I
a
mean,
lot of DJs
yeah.
have talked about it. Like they're either on the side of like, oh, fuck this dude, or they're on the side of like, uh, let me try to talk to him. Let's get some people on the inside closest to him. In that Rumble family, whatever,
Hmm.
ISP, whatever. Try to talk to him. And the most that they got out of him was, so True School, the which is ran by this I think he's like, yeah, Filipino. Always thought he was Japanese, but anyways, Ren the Vinyl Archaeologist. True School is his platform. They do a lot of events, postings, and promotions for hip hop in
Hmm.
the Bay Area. And he basically, I guess, used this platform to touch base with Qbert, and then they actually they did an interview with him, and it wasn't apology video, it was more like damage control. and really bad damage control at that. Because if you look it up, you just look up True School Qbert, you know, yeah, on YouTube. The thing that got me was like he basically was like just like, oh, I'm for the culture, I'm about unity and love, and and, and then when the interviewer tried to press him on the controversial comments and stuff, he was like, well, I don't know any I'm just like, what if, that's why I posted, like, his excuse is like, well, what if I'm not, like, he's trying to play the middle card, like, what if this happened, what if that happened, like, that's his reasoning for the thing. Then he threw on, when they asked him about Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, he was like, well, yeah, I'm down for the culture. Like, I have black friends. Like, he used that card,
Jeez.
and I know who he's talking about. It's that one dude that is in. He's like I wouldn't say a member of ISP, but he's part of, like, when they have events and things in the past. He's been there. This one brother, UBMC. I think that's his name.
Hmm.
But yeah, if you're an ISP hardcore fan of ISP, you know who I'm talking about. But he's referring to him or maybe some other people. But for you to be part of hip hop culture and black culture, the roots of it, and you to make that kind of comment is so, like, it's beyond tone deaf to me. Like, it's like, I have a black, that trope about I have a black friend. Like, what? What the hell are you talking about, Qbert? What are you?
Yeah.
Do you hear yourself? You sound like those racist people, you know? That the quote, the racist liberal types, like, oh, I have a black friend,
Yeah, it's
You
like
sound.
it's like he's like, I don't know if he's a
Mhm.
Trump supporter, but it's like, just from seeing his tweets, like a closeted.
Mhm.
He's like, let me put on my red hat real quick and show my true
Right, he's
colors.
entertaining. He's
Because
entertaining
when he
these
because when
ideas.
he doubled down, he's like,
He's
"Oh,
propaganda.
I didn't know what I was retweeting, or I didn't know these people were
Right,
part of affiliated with this." I was like, "That's kind of like such a bullshit
right.
response and double
Answer.
down." Yeah,
Right, right. No, he knew what he was trying to say. Like, I don't know, like, you gotta. But here's the thing. I've personally met him a few times.
hmm
Um, I don't know. Like, people show you a lot of different sides to them, and in the public, if you ever meet him, you never would guess any of the stuff that, like, that's why this was so shocking for a lot of people, because this is not something he's ever really talk. He doesn't really talk about politics. Really, all he does is, he definitely is into conspiracy theories and
hmm
aliens and that stuff. But this is a new leaf. Like, this is another area of conspiracy and whatever that he's just dived into. Like, some people have said, like, yeah, he clicked on one too many YouTube videos and ended up in the Alex Jones territory.
yeah,
You
right.
know?
I know.
Yeah. Like, man, this is so conflicting, because I know people. There's people that, because he means so much to the culture for Asian Americans. Like, there's people like Ruby Ibarra. She's tweeted out like, "Hey, let's have a conversation," and try to, like, convince him or try to resolve the issue. But so far, I haven't heard anything since. Um, but yeah, the most is, I know, like, people like Rocky Rivera has been very vocal about, like, canceling him.
hmm
And for me personally, I have not publicly, like, said, like, oh, I'm gonna cancel him, but I have condemned the actions. I've not said, like, outright to tell the mob, like, that's another thing about cancel culture. There's this mob, right? That's out
Yeah.
there, the internet's. Like, once you put the thing out there, that everybody just start jumping in. And that's not where I'm at with canceling. Like, I think during this, like, 2020, I think everybody's have to, like, self-reflect on how we participate in, like, canceling too. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean,
well,
canceling.
let me ask you this. Let me interrupt you for real
Yeah.
quick. I mean, just
Hmm.
because I mean, we'll definitely talk about cancel culture in a second, but
Hmm.
from face value, right? You've seen those tweets, you've
Hmm.
seen that stuff. Is it just immediately
Right.
fuck Qbert, fuck him? I don't give a fuck. Like, I ain't fucking with him anymore. Unfollow. Fuck him. He's a clown. Type shit, or are you gonna do what you just said, where you're gonna reflect, analyze? Maybe he doesn't really mean those things, or is that just your or or is that just people lying to themselves because someone they look up to or they idolize, they don't want to believe what they just said? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, for some people, they seem to have made up their minds and they're not
It's
fucking
like
with him no more.
it's just immediate, like boom, fuck him, he's done,
Right,
canceled.
because they're just like, I don't stand for it. I'm
Yeah,
done.
I mean,
And
I'm
then
not
there's
saying
people who are
like,
like,
I mean, is there supposed
that's
to be
right
due
or wrong.
process, or is it just like it's just on the individual where we're like, all right, he's done, or you know what, maybe he didn't really mean those things. Maybe he's just having an episode. People are saying maybe he's kind of a case head or whatever, which is still not an excuse to say that. By the
Right,
way, everything that he said. So I mean,
right.
obviously, we don't know the answers. I mean, me personally, as as a fan and stuff. I mean, nah, I don't fuck with him anymore. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm not gonna like support Thug Rumble. Like
mhm,
before, I bought a lot of records and bought a lot of things from them. I'm not gonna destroy any of my records,
mhm.
but then I'm just not gonna like support it until I hear something different. Until I hear like, hey, a real apology, a real
Yeah,
like,
are you
hey,
yeah, are
I
you
learned my lesson. I talked to some people. I did my research, and like that was not cool of me for me to say those kind of things.
mhm,
Until I hear that. So basically, I'm giving. Personally, that's where I stand. Like, I'm not supporting his
mhm,
businesses anymore until I hear a real apology. That's where I stand.
mhm.
As some for other people, they're like
Cause you've
immediate
met Cubert
cancel.
before, right?
Right, and
On
then
many
not
on many
only that,
occasions, yeah.
you asked earlier about the other scratch pickles.
Mhm,
They most of them been relatively quiet in terms of his thing. Maybe I might have. No, I didn't see anything, so I can't really speak on it. I didn't see anything. The only person that I did see made a comment was Mixmaster Mike,
and what
and
did
I
he say?
reposted. He basically said, "Hey, without he's like, and he did it the right way. I mean, the way you should say is like, what did he say? He said, basically, he's like, without black culture, hip hop is a black art form, black culture. So without that, I wouldn't be where I am,
Mhm.
And he's in support of Black Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
That's the gist. That's the gist of what he said. He posted it out there on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, that's how you're supposed to say it. I reposted. I said, hey, you can be into aliens because Mixed Master Mike's thing is also aliens. Whether he's talked about it enough or not, but it's out. It's out there.
Yeah.
But at least look at how he is. Like he could believe in aliens and some conspiracy stuff, but
Mhm.
he can at least acknowledge like, hey, hip hop is a black culture and that he's benefited from it and that he supports Black Lives Matter because it's the right thing to do, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, in my mind, what I'm thinking
So I
about
want
right.
to preface that
Yeah.
there is that at least one scratch pickle has come out that I've seen.
And basically,
Um,
what, denounced Cubert, or just saying like, hey.
no, I don't think he directly denounced him. He just made his own personal statement
Mhm.
on his
Because
stance.
the
Yeah.
mob, the thing with mob mentality and the cancel culture, once someone gets canceled, right, then they start going with the people that are associated with that person or friends, and
Hmm.
then they'll comment on their Instagram or Twitter or whatever,
Right.
and be like, hey man, what's up with you and Cubert? Like, what's your thoughts? This and that,
I
and then
didn't really see that
yeah,
personally. Like I didn't see a whole lot of that happening. Like people hitting up Shortcut or who's
mm-hmm.
the other members. Yeah, I didn't see anybody hit up any of the other members per se. Because I think at least with the Qbert situation, it's kind of like within this like DJ community.
Yeah, but I think the thing that I was trying to say earlier is, once COVID's done, right, and I'm not going to say, obviously, I don't think things will ever go back to normal, but let's say,
Hmm.
venues are opening up, concerts, DJ stuff, right? The
Hmm.
question will be, will Kubert be allowed to attend and either be a performer or, teach classes and stuff, or is he donezo? Is everyone going to be like, hey, we don't fuck with you and your racist views and your viewpoints? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're gonna
Hmm.
basically shit on on the culture, then we're not gonna put you on a pedestal anymore. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah, no, like
Like,
that's a good question.
because all those
That's a cool.
yeah, all those things that
Uh,
you attend, Scratchpad, all that stuff, from whether it's in the Bay to LA or
mhm,
wherever, like,
mhm.
what if people are just like, hey, he's banned from my event, Cubert's not welcome here. You know, that would be huge.
I think in the Bay Area he might not have such, depending on who, because there's still people that, you know, like they still want to rescue him, you know, or whatever. So that you still have, and then there's people that, you know, in light of him making those comments, there are DJs who were like, yeah, he's right, or like is entertaining the same ideas that he is. Because I'm not gonna name any names, but I did see some people, you know, were like, I support him or whatever, you know, as like, oh, you smart, you know, on that shit. So it's not like he doesn't have supporters, or that he's not, basically I'm saying he's not the only one. He's just the most famous person to make those statements.
Yeah, within your, I would say within your guys' community.
Is he gonna have work after the COVID? Whenever that lifted, I think, yeah, he's definitely gonna still have his work. Like, there's probably still gonna be some venues that will still put him on, and then there's gonna be ones that aren't. So he's gonna have a hard time. He might get in with the people that still support him or think like him. They're gonna support him, and then there's gonna be a whole swath of people that aren't. So yeah, it's kind of like R. Kelly. Like, R. Kelly surprisingly still has supporters, people that believe he's right.
I know.
He's being attacked.
I know.
Or whatever.
Like,
you know?
it depends. Like, the thing that sucks is, you know, depending on who you are, you just might get a pass. Regardless of what you do.
Enough people are gonna protect you.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he's a good example, I would say. You know, where he still has like, I'm not gonna lie, there's some good R. Kelly songs. Do I condone what he did? No, but you know, it's like, you know, like he said, where, you know, when something bad happens to an artist, right? Then you yourself as a DJ, you're like, should I play this track anymore in my sets? Or like, what do I do if someone requests it, you know? Or what if I'm doing a gig and the people paying me are like, hey, can you play an R. Kelly song or Michael Jackson? Like, remember when Michael Jackson when that documentary come out, you know?
That was a difficult one for a lot of DJs, because like, and what a lot of people decided to do was set and setting. Like, some places some events, the host or the client are okay with it. They don't really care about the documentary or whatever. They're like, I'm still rocking with Michael. Those events you could play. But I remember hearing about DJs like at big name clubs out in Vegas and LA, and then, you know, they're like, yo, they got a memo, an email, like, don't play any more Michael Jackson type stuff.
That's crazy. I mean, me personally, I'm gonna still bump Michael Jackson.
It took a little while, but
I'm not,
Michael again.
Yeah.
It's right now. It's okay-ish, like, unless some new documentary comes out.
I mean, let's be real. Who's really gonna come up to you and be like, "Yo, turn that shit off"? You know, turn that Michael Jackson off. I mean,
dude.
I mean, actually, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, what are you gonna say?
It happened. So this was like, I'm gonna share an anecdote that I saw from Shortcut, if I remember correctly. Shortcut, somebody, a big name DJ, basically played some Michael Jackson. This is like right around the time of when that documentary hit, and people were giving him dirty looks. He was getting dirty looks. Damn. Yeah. So, but I would say the climate is kind of like, in terms of Michael Jackson, has kind of like,
I think they've forgotten about it. Same with like R. Kelly.
Right.
Same with, you know, you could say Chris Brown.
No, R. Kelly's still.
I think R. Kelly's still a little bit canceled. Yeah. Let me take that back. Yeah.
The only time, my experience, the only time that R. Kelly, somebody, a DJ, a friend of mine, Lazy Boy, he actually used R. Kelly song in his Red Bull 3 style. But the context was like, he uses as a joke.
Okay.
So that's why everybody it was
giving him props
as a joke. Yeah, it was like giving him props, and he's like, "Oh, it's controversial," but then he's like dissing the thing. So as long as you put the context as like it's a negative or it's a joke or like it's like this is bad, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But then if we're not going back to the days of like playing "Step in the Name of Love" at a wedding type of thing.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Unless the couple, that's a tricky thing because there's some people that are supporters out there. Like, what if you as a DJ aren't cool with playing R. Kelly, but your client is like, hey, I'm paying you the money, play me that shit.
I know.
You know, that's tough.
Like,
Yeah.
let me ask you this: like in your position, what would you do? Like, where, if you don't mind me asking,
Okay,
like,
I've had an
where,
incident.
like, where do you draw the line? Is it R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, or you know?
Me personally, I'm like no Michael Jack, no, not no Mike, no R. Kelly.
No R. Kelly.
On my watch, no R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have an incident at the strip club where the other DJ, not DJ, but he came. Remember this is like off podcast stuff. I just I talked about
Mm-hmm.
like there sometimes I would have like that ex manager that comes in. He fucks around on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd come in and he'd play an R. Kelly song. I'm like, why the fuck are you doing that shit? And I turn it off. I'm like, fuck this shit. He's like, what, man? I'm like, dude's a fucking pedophile. I don't fucking stand for that shit.
Yeah, like, hey, come get your
like,
like, check your, like, when people say that shit, like, hey, come get your man, dude. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. So I called him out, and then, but he'll still like every now and then try to sneak that shit in. I'm like, fuck that shit. But that's me. I'm like, I don't stand for R. Kelly, Michael Jackson. I'm like, I'm okay unless someone specifically tells me like, yo, I'm not cool with that. I'll respect them if they, that. Chris Brown, that was another controversial artist. Remember?
Yeah, he makes good music.
I know. I still play him only because he's not the way how R. Kelly is. You know how R. Kelly is irreverent about like, I didn't do shit, I'm in the wrong, y'all, I'm the victim here,
I mean,
y'all hating on me.
If we look back,
like,
did Chris Brown ever really address what happened between him and Rihanna? I don't even remember. I felt like
I think
it happened.
He did some some community service or something, and then he did he made an apology, I think, and then he kind of just left it at that. That's it. Yeah.
I mean, he still has a career. He's still fucking killing it,
Right. As long
I
as
mean, I fuck with Chris Brown if he doesn't do any more dumb shit. I mean, like when I saw the Rihanna shit, me personally, I did not cancel Chris Brown. I was just like, oh damn, that's not a good look.
Right, that's not a good look.
I mean, it's crazy to think how long ago that was. That was almost like, what, 10 years ago? I don't even know, dude. Right?
Yeah, about 10.
Almost 10 years?
10-ish.
10-ish years? It has to be for sure, because I'm just like, bro, that's insane.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like.
But he didn't get. People try to cancel him, but that didn't work. I think for him, he was. I don't know. He's got some people because he's also within that time. He did have some episodes too where he had some like mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know. I think it's just for me with him. It's like as long as he doesn't like especially right now in 2020, he better chill. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's good. He's good. He's coming out with some great
Don't
music.
Don't do any stupid things.
He's been coming out with some great music.
Right. Just keep like he's got a new song with Young Thug out that's kind of
go crazy.
Yeah.
I love that song.
That kind of slap. Yeah.
That song slaps.
But yeah, no, like cancel culture, like you really gotta like. I think I say cancel responsibly. You gotta like sit down.
But see, people don't do that. Like for me personally, right? If I see some fuck shit happening, whether it's with my friends or myself, I mean, obviously, you know me. I can be, I troll a lot. I'll admit that. I do that with a lot of my friends. People could definitely, come out against me with some of the stupid shit I've done in the past. But I feel like I've owned up to it and I've tried to, legit be a better person and not be like that. But I feel like a lot of times, though, for cancel culture, there doesn't need to be due process. If you're a pedophile or whatever, then it's done deal, man.
Right,
for sure.
Especially, like those we're not arguing about like, oh, if they got caught being pedophile, murderer, or anything serious crimes. Like those people are done. Like boom, off the bat. You know.
Well, like speaking of cancel culture, like right now, you know who Emily Oberg is, right?
Emily Oberg.
From Complex
Refresh.
News. She's Ben Baller's friend. She's that Filipino white chick.
That name sounds familiar. Yeah.
She owns her own company called Sporty and Rich, and she's getting canceled literally like right now as we speak.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because of
breaking news.
Because of classism, and she's apparently an anti-vaxxer.
Oh, I hate those people.
I mean, let me.
I'm sorry. I hate them. Dude, it's like the mask thing. If you really think about it, right? It's like it's not only for yourself, it's for everybody else too.
I know.
And you're just like, no, because I'm afraid they're gonna put computer chips in me and all this other stuff. And I get, like, especially when, and this is the thing about like sitting back and observing the information. It's like you look at people who are anti-vaxxers. Like, let's say, like when a black person or brown person says it, right? They're talking from an experience of like the Tuskegee experiment. If you're not familiar with that situation, look it up. The gist is basically these medical people they did experiments on black people and they gave them like what is it that the STD basically they gave them
AIDS.
No, not this is like a long time ago, so it was not AIDS. It was chlamydia. One of those kind of like STDs just to test them out. So a lot of people have negative experience in those communities with medical type stuff, so I can understand the reservation about vaccines and things of that nature coming into that, but like that doesn't like throw vaccinations out the boat. Like if a white person says it, like what the fuck are you talking about? Like you got nothing to complain. Like the medical community has been on your side for the longest. Like, and you're talking about computer chips and I don't. Yeah.
Nah, bro.
But yeah, you were saying like she's getting canceled.
She's getting canceled right now. Not original designs for her clothing brand. Like just blatant rip-offs. Like,
it's kind of like Virgil Abloh, right?
Yeah, basically.
Because remember, people were trying to cancel Virgil Abloh because he gave $50.
I know.
For Black Lives Matter.
I know.
But then you had to analyze the situation. Now, this is from his side camp. They're saying he's just following the rules of the matching game or whatever that people are having for the donations. So he saw someone give $50, so he matched the $50.
I know.
Excuse.
I know. It's because people idolize his brand. They love Off-White, blah 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 bullshit. I mean, there's a couple Off-White shoes that I've seen that I thought were cool, but I mean, I'm not dropping that kind of bread on that shit. I spend my money on other dumb shit. But going back to Emily Oberg, though, they're saying like she's not putting ethnic diversity in her models. People are saying she idolizes, or not idolizes, but she's putting just white people on a pedestal, even though she's a minority, and that she's like basically she's saying she was trying to attack people yesterday about there's no excuse to not be eating healthy. And she's like, she posted some stupid bullshit graphic saying like comparing fast food to real food, and she's like, see, it's affordable. And then people are attacking her saying like, what about low income families? What about people that are poor?
Right.
Because I mean, it is true. It is hard to eat healthy. There's a reason why it's cheaper to eat unhealthy. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, she's friends with Ben Baller, so she probably knows Roy Choi. Roy Choi could give her a whole dissertation on why that's bullshit.
Nah, Ben Baller was like, yo, what the fuck did Emily Oberg do? She's getting canceled right now, and people were like, she's anti-vaxxer. She's doing a whole bunch of dumb shit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, don't get me wrong. Do I think she's attractive? Yes. What am I basically trying to say?
But her whether she looks good or not doesn't mean if she says stupid shit. And if she does wrong things, she should still be held accountable. that's another thing, like the term cancel culture. I feel like the people like on the right have kind of like took that term and then try to make it like I'm the victim here. I'm getting attacked. Like these people are doing these things and not letting my voice be heard. And that's how it is. That's how they've been using it. I'm like, and I sent you some videos of like guys like Kyle Kalinske and these other folks. They're like, yo, like, so you're anti-cancel culture because you can't take the heat.
Mm-hmm. No, but
and then if you really look at the situation as abroad, left voices or left opinions and stuff like that have always been canceled. And then if you take away, so that's why like I'm not entirely like anti-cancel culture. I'm saying cancel responsibly, and better yet, like I heard something from Dumbfounded. Shouts out to Sheila Aw. She made a really good thing in the podcast that Dumb had, Fun with Dumb. Check that out. She said she doesn't like the term cancel culture. She said it should be accountability culture. Like, are you accountable for your own actions? You know?
Yeah.
Dude, I think that's better.
Dude, bro.
Yeah.
There's a whole separate Instagram. I didn't even know, right? Like, I just looked at that
Emily Olsen.
No, talking about Emily Oberg's sporty enriching, how it's just like a scam, not fulfilling orders, and blatant ripoffs. Like,
damn.
Yeah, dude. Like, it has.
Tea is coming out.
Oh yeah, because someone sent it to Ben Baller, and he's like, oh, there it is, because he was saying like, yo, like, you know, if you're telling people like, you know, with classism like bullshit, like I don't think that's enough to get canceled. And he's like, oh, there it is. I knew it had to be deeper than fucking healthy food posts.
And that's why you gotta wait for the information to come out. Like, you can't just jump on it. Like this, like Ben Baller's people bringing him information, right? So he's got to sit back and really like, okay, where is it going? Oh, okay, fine. When the real information comes out, then you can like, okay, I can make an informed decision, or whether I want to like, and it's. Canceling is personal, I think, too. Like,
because you make your own bias. By the way, you make your own decision. It's not just some mob mentality. I mean, that's what people think it is. But at the end of the day, you're looking at yourself and you're like, all right, this person doesn't, you know, align with my views. Fuck him. Fuck everyone associated with him, and that's that.
Right.
And you know,
so that's why, like, I've always, since like. I would say since 2020 really kickstarted, I've been more on like, if I don't like a certain person because of their views or whatever, it just doesn't mesh with my views, or I don't really go about and just like say the canceling thing. I'm just gonna be like, me personally, I'm not supporting that anymore. That's it. Like, if other people feel the same way, they can. I'm not asking for the mob, you know?
Yeah, that mob mentality. I mean,
right.
Like, just to switch things up just a little bit, but it's going to transition into it, is, you know, within the cancel culture and people trying to get other people canceled or brands. And because, like, it's been happening crazy over the past couple of months with cancel culture. And, I mean, I don't know, like for you, besides Cooper, has there anyone else that you, like, you fuck with, or you're like, oh, damn, they're canceling this person? Like, what the fuck did they do? Like, that caught you off guard?
I think Cuber was the biggest one for me. I was just like, whoa. Like, what did he say? Trying to think, is there anybody else in the last couple? Well, one thing that's on my mind that's kind of bizarre in terms of canceling culture, because I can't really think at the moment right now like any other names the last couple months, but there's this. It just recently happened. Some chick at the New York Times or whatever, she self-canceled herself.
Oh, okay.
Basically quit. Bari Weiss, and she was one of those people that signed the. Because there was this letter talking about cancel culture, and Noam Chomsky signed it, and a whole bunch of other like well-known people, or whatever, signed it. Salman Rushdie. Look those names up. You know, folks listening right now, look those names up. You know, do some research. But she's like she's one of those like right-wing voices, and I feel like and not just myself, but a lot of people out there have already spoke on it. That people like her, like Bari Weiss, they use the whole like anti cancel culture to be more like, oh, like people are attacking me and my views and stuff like that, the right wing type views. And but then if you look at their personal history, their personal track record, like Bari Weiss in particular, when she was in college, she organized to what is it, kick out Palestinian, like some Palestinian pro-Palestinian movement. So how can you be anti-cancel culture when you were trying to cancel other people?
Yeah,
That's like weird. That's some weirdo shit.
it is some real shit.
Right.
And speaking,
But yeah, I can't think other than that. That's like an important. I bring that up because that's like that's something to be think like we're not like cancel culture, definitely like the mob mentality and sitting back and observing the information. Those are fair critiques, of cancel culture. But the aspect of like obviously like we were saying earlier, people doing like serious crimes, they should be they get whatever comes to them deservingly. So that's why we have to be responsible and accountable, basically.
I mean, there's a lot of like, you know what? I forgot. I just remembered right now. Just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. What films, news? They canceled themselves. Joe and Bart. They came out on IGTV.
Mm-hmm.
They had, it was like a 30-minute video. I watched all of it. And to be honest, like, maybe it's because I'm Asian, but obviously, I'm just gonna say right now,
I'm Asian
I don't.
too.
I know. I don't know why I keep fucking saying that shit, but fucking, like, I don't know if it's fucked up or maybe it's me being biased, but like, if you analyze what they said about their past skits, doing blackface, and just the other people that are, I guess, associated within their group. I mean, that Steve Green guy, Nikki. I don't really fuck with them. I never did. I have my own reasons why. But for Bart and Joe, I mean, when you first saw the Uncle Chin and Uncle Sam skit, as someone that's Vietnamese, were you like, oh, this is racist, or it's funny? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like in this specific context, for at least these, because I guess you could say they're comedians. They do skits. That's how most people knew them. I mean, now they have a gym, they have some reaction, just kidding, news channel and a whole bunch of other shit. But if you look back at how they started, it was them, doing
little skits,
doing stereotypical skits as Asians, and you could definitely say maybe appropriating gang culture.
Joe, for the longest, I didn't know Joe was not like Chinese. I didn't until he had to reveal himself as Japanese, because he went by just Joe something.
Oh man, I can't believe I can't even remember his name right now. It's not Joe.
Because right now he's Joe Kitsukawa, right?
Yeah.
But before that, he was Joe Blow, Joe something, Joe.
Joe
Mama.
Because you know what? I'll be honest with you. I didn't think he was Japanese when I saw him. I thought he might have been Chinese or some other shit.
Right, or Vietnam, some
kind of
Southeast Asian.
Yeah,
because he was making those kind of jokes with the accent. And the funny thing is, you were asking me how I feel as like a Chinese Vietnamese person. I'll be honest, like I've always had a little issue with the Vietnamese accent jokes,
Come on, Doc. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
In my friend group, it was always brought up to me by my Korean homie. Like my Korean homie put me on to Uncle Sane and all of that stuff.
Right? All that shit. It's all funny.
I'd say I laughed at it, but there's a part of me that was like, this is kind of weird. Because then when people ask me to do a Vietnamese accent or whatever, right? I can't do it.
Come on, do it.
It's like my brain doesn't allow me to be racist towards my people or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I know some of my other friends don't have. I know you've been sharing with me too, and I've caught on to it a little early already. But there's a guy that does an account called Sup Dog.
I love it. It's the
I love
fucking
it
best.
too.
It's the dude.
All right,
I'm sorry.
because
I don't give
the
a
reason
fuck, but
why
that shit is so funny.
it's funny because I could hear my relatives or like other people's relatives, and like it's real people do sound like that.
No,
You
it's like
know,
spot on accurate, bro. It's pretty like.
right? More than Joe and Bart's one when they did their
I mean, do
thing.
you think that's racist, or to you it's like that's fucking fun? You know, like with the cafes. You
The
know,
sub dog. I
the,
think that's kind of like Russell Peters territory where it's like an inside joke. You know, it's like
because
you gotta
because
know
if you're that
Vietnamese people.
if you're that race and you're making that racial or stereotypical joke, is it
Mhm,
racist? Because you could, let's say, like Joe Coy or Russell
mhm.
Peters or
Right.
Dave Chappelle, when they do stuff that's racial, that's to their race, is it
Mhm,
racist? You know, like if you're saying the N word, or you're talking shit about your own people and making stereotypical or racist per se jokes. You know,
mhm. I think it goes
like
back to the
where's the
rule of
line?
thumb.
Like if it's a white person doing it, then it's racist. Then
Automatically
yeah,
not cool.
yeah, like fuck that person. But if it's
Right.
if it's that race, then
Mhm.
you get a pass, right? Or what do you think?
I think it goes back to the rule of thumb is like if the target audience, the people you're using the joke on, if
Mm-hmm.
they can't laugh at it, then it's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I
Cause,
think that's a good rule
cause,
of thumb because then everybody, I think, especially like something like you bring up Dave Chappelle, like if there's certain jokes like that's internally about black folks, like that's something that community can decide for themselves. If they can't, if the people can't laugh at the joke, then that's not a good joke.
I mean,
Like Sup Dog, I laughed at it.
mhm.
I did laugh at Bart and Joe's thing,
I mean,
but
how
I'll
old were
say
you?
it's
How old were you when?
compared Sup Dog to
Yeah,
those. It's Sup Dog is way better. I say
it's the
Sup
best.
Dog hits it more on the
It's
nail.
the best. My bad for trying to interrupt you. My apologies.
Mhm.
But I mean, like when you saw Uncle Chin and Uncle Sam, when they're at the gas station, he has that little bear
Mhm.
hat with
Mhm.
the one missing
Mhm.
eye. How old were you when you saw that? When I saw that, I was in middle school. So to me, that
I
shit was
was
so
in
funny.
my 20s. Yeah, early 20s.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. So
I think I was like 12
also,
or
I gotta
13.
think back when I was in my 20s. Probably was not as advanced in my thinking too. So
Yeah.
you're asking me now if I look back at Uncle Sing, those jokes were kind of like yeah. But at the time, nobody else was doing that kind of style of comedy, other than like Russell Peters. Maybe he had stuff out. Like yeah. So
Because
it
if
was
you
funny to me then. Now it's like it's so. You know.
because the thing is, if you look at it this point of view, right? You and me,
Hmm.
and maybe I mean, obviously their fan base it's not just Asians, but it's a lot, right?
Right. It's
And
growing. It's grown.
and as you like, from my point of view, right? I used to follow a lot of YouTube stars or just YouTube personalities, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And you kind of grow. I mean, I grew with them from just being an early middle schooler to where I'm at right now. And to be
Hmm.
honest, most of the people that I grew up on, just stopped. I just lost interest. I stopped watching their videos. Like
Hmm.
I still follow the Just Kidding, most of the Just Kidding Films people on Instagram, but I don't actively look at their YouTube anymore. I don't watch any of their
Hmm.
Barbell Brigade, Just Kidding News, nothing, unless it's like
Hmm.
my buddy Steve
Hmm.
Weeby, or
Hmm.
whoever.
Hmm.
Then I might check it out. But I don't watch their
Hmm.
Just Kidding News, nothing. I used to watch their
Right.
skits religiously, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess I grew apart. I mean, because it was funny and it was nice seeing them, grow as a family, get bigger and bigger and
Hmm.
bigger. And they were in the same like space where they would fuck with other artists like Dumbfounded to Wax,
Hmm.
all these people who kind of came up from the LA
Hmm.
scene,
Yeah.
slash YouTube, until now
Right.
we're in 2020. They canceled themselves. Jenna Marbles came out and apologized for. I mean, I don't condone anything that she did in the past. I'm not saying I was a big fan of hers, but I mean
Right.
that was surprising to me that she came out and she's like, I'm leaving YouTube. I mean, good on
Hmm.
her, I guess, to address
Yeah.
her wrongdoing and doing blackface. Because
Yeah.
because from face value, when I saw that, I was like thinking to myself, I was like, oh man, like why are they canceling themselves? Like why are they gonna ruin how they make money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But then,
Especially if they don't do content like that anymore and their position have grown, you know? Like, because I
besides,
know
yeah.
for JK News, we've been trying to get more diverse casts. Yes. Like, they start including a lot of the all deaf comedy guys, like, Kev on stage and Tahir. I know Tahir was really hurt by the news coming from Bart and Steve and all those people, like so he had to take down a video he did with Steve. Like he was like, I can't really, as a because brother, he's this is a sensitive time, sensitive moment. So for him personally, he was like, yeah, I can't rock with y'all no more. Sorry. And he made that decision for himself. But yeah, like definitely, I think, like we were going back to earlier, like canceling is personal. Like you really have to sit with it yourself and analyze your relationship to the people that you've content that you've consumed and participated in or given money to. And that's another thing. Like I know there's people that I guess was it, how do you say, I don't know if you heard the slang term side bus. Basically, they're not part of the conversation, but they jump into the conversation. Like you're not a fan, you've never like watched any of the videos or participated or anything, but now you have a comment or you're jumping in. Like that's not cool.
Because I mean, there's people who would like defend them. I mean, because I saw the comments, right, and there were people being like, "Why are you even doing this?" I mean, that was my thought on face value. But the more that I thought about it, I guess I was like, I understand why they did it. I mean, it was the right thing to do. But if you think about it, if they never did it, would anyone bat an eye? Would anyone bring it up?
Because those video, that
right?
video, I didn't even know about it.
I didn't even, to be honest, I don't even really remember the blackface video.
Because they did it on, like, I think it's one of those JK party things
or
JK
something
like
parties,
that.
Yeah.
And then the Steve and Nikki one was separate. I think it's on their channel, and they made a comment about, they made a joke that involved like Martin Luther King and Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, that's not cool. Fuck them.
Right. And then Bart's was just, now here's the thing with the blackface, because you brought it up, like I heard Jimmy Kimmel, people are trying to, and he's had to apologize. The Karl Malone, I remember watching that, dude. That one I do remember watching. Nobody
bat an eye, and supposedly he's got the pass. He's okay. Supposedly,
right. He's even had Karl Malone on his show in the past.
Yeah,
like Karl Malone sat face to face and that, because that's who he was imitating.
Yeah.
So there's some people that get passes. Like who's the other one? Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. Right?
Yeah,
he got a pass.
I mean, they talked about it. They talked about it on Joe Rogan. That movie could never come out today, by the way.
Right?
Blackface, saying the word retard. Yeah, I mean,
at the time, it makes it because the angle with the Robert Downey Jr. was satirical. He was making fun of how Hollywood would use a character like that, and was poking fun at that whole thing. So I think people were watching it, even like black folks or brown folks, whoever in the audience, like they're like, okay, he's not making fun of us. Like that, it goes back to the whole like, can the group find the thing funny? If they can't find the thing funny, you shouldn't say that joke.
I mean, like when you saw it, was it funny to you? Were you offended? Like, let's be real. I mean, when I saw it, I thought it was funny as shit. It didn't even cross my mind about blackface. I just thought he was just acting, and that was the context for that film.
Right. There was a context to the joke, and then if you got it, then it's like, haha. But if you didn't get the context, I could see how someone's like, oh, that's offensive. Because there were people that were offended, but then most of us kind of just like, we gave it a pass because of the joke context, because he was poking fun at that whole system in Hollywood, like how it allows for certain things like that to occur.
Because
he's poking fun at it.
At the end of the day, the underlying question is, if it's funny, does it make it okay? Or if it's not funny to you, then it's racist, and that it's a canceled cancelable offense, if that's a word. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you found it not funny. You're like, fuck Robbie Downey Jr. I ain't gonna watch Avengers anymore. Fuck Tropic Thunder. You know, fuck all the people. So, like, because that's how crazy some of this mob mentality, cancel culture is, right? Where they're like, oh, this person's associated this and that, then I'm done. Like, which, me personally, I think cancel culture is cancer. There should definitely be some due process, in my opinion. Not in
some
all
repercussions for heinous actions.
No, don't get me wrong. Just because I believe there's due process. There's sometimes it's just cut and whatever the fuck the saying is, like, you know that person's canceled. They're donezo. You know what I'm saying? Like to you, like, I mean, like, basically what I'm saying is, like, for the for Just Kidding Films, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they had to do what they needed to do, in your opinion? Like, was that the right move? Like, the Steve and Nikki thing, I agree. Fuck them. I mean, I have my own reasons. Like I said, that I don't fuck with them. But for Bart and Joe, knowing their backstory, knowing how they grew up, like, I don't really. I mean, I'm not, Spanish
condoning.
Or whatever. Or I'm not. Well, I'm not trying to say I'm not Spanish, but, like, like them culture appropriating other things like gangs. I mean, I do know they were in gangs, growing up.
And they grew up in LA
and stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. But I know, like, Joe does the cholo, and then he's married. And there's another thing: if you're married to the other person, their culture, because some people are like, yeah, just because you're fucking the person of that other culture doesn't mean.
Because know what's funny? Aren't they coming out with a fucking movie that's basically cultural appropriation and gang culture and like LA, right? Remember? Where it's like Vietnamese gangs, remember? Where they're wearing the bandana over their head, they got the the wife beater, the shorts, the chino shorts or whatever, or pants, and the Converse. You know what I'm talking about?
Thing, are they? Yeah, I know. That sounds like.
But see,
what's that guy from Long Beach? Stupid Young.
Yeah.
There's actually that's another thing. Like the thing with LA and the West Coast in terms of gang culture, people don't know there's like Asian gangs. Street gangs, Asian Crips and stuff like that. So then they might think like a Stupid Young is trying to appropriate the culture, but nah, like they kind of grew up with it and it got co-signed and all this other stuff. So it's tricky. Like you have to like look at things case by case and see where people's intent is, their track history, whether they were ignorant to the thing, maybe they didn't know. Like all of that has to take factor into before you want to cancel. Like for me, in my books, JK isn't canceled in my.
I don't think they're canceled in my books either. I think at the end of the day, I only met them once.
But it's good that they made
the effort
for future people, because I know they want to add more diversity into their group, right? So
let me ask you this, because obviously, like them and those other people that when I was growing up, they know that their fan base is Asian, right? Do you think they should feel an obligation to diversify their group, or it's okay just to keep still being Asian and being your niche community? Let me ask you that. Or do you think it's just them trying to be politically correct, or is it just a politically correct thing where people try to diversify their the people in their group, the guests that they have? Because you could definitely call out podcasters and other people and say, how come you don't have enough black guests, or this or that, or how come you never had an Asian person, or you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think about that? I know a lot that I just said.
It depends. I think it depends on your format and what you're trying to do with it. I think in terms of like take JK for example, with their track history, and people have called them out because they've spoken on things that were about Black and brown communities that came up in the news, part of like JK News or whatever, and there isn't a black voice in the room, and people have gone in the comments like, hey, why don't you have a black guest? Because then you don't have a person to like kind of chime in and give that side of the story, So I can see why I don't think they did it necessarily to be PC. They did it because the culture and the news that has been coming in, so they're reflecting that. So it's kind of like if there are news about Asia or Asian Americans and stuff, but there's no Asian person in the room, and it's just white and other people talking about it,
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, they're just reflecting what is happening out there in the news cycle, and then they need to, and also like they do. It's not. They had a person on there. I forget the guy's name, but there is one black dude that was in their group before they started to like add all the new guys from
Yeah, yeah.
new
What's his
guests
What's
and
his
whatever.
name? I know who you're talking.
I think his name is John or something like
Yeah,
that.
he didn't he have like a little
Or
bit of a fro or something? I can't remember his
yeah,
name.
he had a little bit of fro, and people are like, "Hey, how come he's never like on the JK? He's always just JK party."
Mhm.
And like it seems like they always making fun of him and stuff like that,
Yeah, like he's like what's
So
it called? Like the token black guy.
he's like a punching bag or
Yeah.
something like that. Like he's always the butt of the joke, or you know. And I guess they probably took that criticism to heart, and they're like, "Yeah, maybe we need to do something different. That's
Yeah, that we
really
should
not cool."
diversify. I mean, they've had their own controversies in the past, like
Right.
with that Asian girl that accused them.
They've said a lot of
yeah.
They've said some things. They made some jokes that I wasn't too. I was like, ugh, and I kind of had to step back, but I didn't outright cancel them.
I mean, they're not in
because I know their growth pattern. You know what I mean? Like because they were at one point and then they had to grow. So I think for me in my books, if I don't see the person growing and learning and taking criticism, well, then yeah, it's different, case by case.
It's case by case, yeah.
Yeah. Like, take for example, something that came up. I know I just posted about it. Cardi B.
Mm-hmm.
People are trying to cancel Cardi B now.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Because...
Oh yeah, Chinky. Let's end the podcast on this.
Okay. Yeah. So, she made a post and called her daughter and her sister chinky eyes, to describe their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So people came for her, like, because chinky, that's derogatory term for Asian person, Chinese person, right?
Is it though?
And
no, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Okay.
Keep going.
People came at her, and that's true. That is a derogatory term, right? But then she came back like, I didn't know. That's not something, she's like, I didn't know that was. And I know some people are like, how can you not know? Well, she didn't know. And there are some people that don't know, because racism against Asian people is kind of normalized in American culture. Like, people laugh at it so much that they're like, they don't know. So for someone like Cardi B to say, I don't know, I'm not that surprised.
I mean,
that she
let's say
look at Jamaican.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like you take like in Jamaican culture, like they still say Chinese. They don't say Chinese, which is like an old school, old head racist from Gold Rush era. They still say that, and they say it so much. It's like a part of the culture out there.
Goof.
Yeah. Right. So, and then, in her situation, I posted something about China Mag, and he echoed the same kind of sentiments, like, yo, hold up, don't cancel her just because of that. Like, because she was one of the, all these what about Asians, and like, what about what the black people do for us? Like, dude, Cardi B, when COVID started coming out and people were attacking Asian people and stuff like that, she spoke out against that. She was one of those people.
I definitely agree. She was one of the first people that I saw on my timeline for Instagram that like legit made a post. It wasn't just like a paragraph. It was like legit her talking, saying like, hey, that's not
she made
right.
a video
because that viral video in San Francisco, which is disheartening to see, where that guy's just trying to if you're from the Bay,
right?
Or
I actually was involved.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up being involved in the process on that.
Yeah.
Like, with the kid, that kid that recorded the video, like that's a whole other thing. Everybody wanted blood for that guy. He just took the video. He made some comments.
Mm-hmm.
That I'll say this: that kid got. So he ended up, they were gonna try to crucify that kid, but because of the people that he knew, that his mom and just the community came out. I came out, and I tried to learn what this situation was about. I was like, yeah, we should just that I mean, the guy that actually did the hitting, that dude should do some kind of time or pay for it. But him, he just recorded a video and said some things. He can actually be taught differently and like restorative justice.
How old was the kid? Not just. I'm not saying like justify. You know.
I think he was in. He's like a young adult in early 20s.
Oh, okay.
Right. But yeah, so the community saved his ass. If it wasn't for the community, he would have been donezo.
I mean, because I remember watching it, and I think he did say some maybe racist shit, but like the guy like that was like the mob mentality of people, like everyone just watching it happen, where they're beating this old man, and he's just trying to collect plastic bottles so he can make money, and then them taking it away from it, being racist. That was just really sad to see, But see, the thing I will say about that, because we could end it on this note, is the bias of Asians towards African Americans, and seeing the racism come out from the Asian community towards blacks after seeing that video,
right?
Because,
and people
because if you think about it,
thing in their mind that they're all like that, they're gonna attack us.
Because if you think about it, it literally COVID happened. Asians were getting discriminated against, and then the George Floyd thing happened, and then from there it just Yeah.
But like I don't know if you caught it, but I posted a clip with Dumbfounded, and he was like saying how like it's interesting how we let like when other like black and brown folks, other people of color attack each other, we're so hyped to like attack, to like mob mentality and go after and demonize or whatever the person, but like all these like microaggressions, little stuff, from like white people, we let that slide.
Because
like that's just really interesting how it's like flipped the other way when it comes from a white person. People, especially with Asian folks, we kind of just like,
yeah, you gotta suck the white man's dick.
Right, we're like, oh, haha, funny, I get the joke, and that bullshit. Like, why do we do that shit? That's really interesting. But then when it's the flip side, when it's a black person or Latino person, we're like, oh, fuck you, and we're on some like Asian pride bullshit.
I know.
Got on the rooftop Korean shit.
Rooftop Koreans, baby. Jesus
just
Christ.
Kidding. But no, like Cardi, don't cancel her. She's not racist. She doesn't know.
Not yet.
Dude, I didn't know. I had to do my own research on Asian eyes. I found like 2 videos. This guy Kento Bento, and he goes into it about Asian eyes. Like there are like outside of Asians, like there's this whole thing about eyes, like the eye fold, the elliptical fold, whatever. There's a whole history behind it. There's people that are not Asian that have it, and how do you address that? Like, do the research, educate yourselves, or educate each other. I think that's the thing. 2020, man. Like, let's be kinder to each other. Give each other some chances.
I mean,
if we're not pieces of shit, if you can determine the person's not a piece of shit, teach them, educate them. Don't just straight out like cut them,
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's got a lot of time on their hands, so definitely use it as a time to reflect. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect.
Same. Yeah.
You could definitely
I'll
say that I'm
some
racist.
Weird shit too.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Call me. Educate me. Give me some different perspectives.
Yeah. No, but yeah, everyone, I hope you enjoyed what we talked about. It might have I don't think it was controversial. I mean, I was just speaking, I think you and me were just both speaking from the heart, our analysts of, how we see things, our point of views, obviously, whatever we just said doesn't mean, that we're right. Everyone has opposing views. Other people can look at things, completely differently than we saw it, because I know there's people who could definitely listen to this and be like, nah, dude, they're canceled. It's a done deal.
Right.
Like, there's no due process needed. Like, fuck Hubert. He said he's not about the, this or that,
Yeah.
Or, Cardi B. I bet you there's people who are like, I'm not listening to Cardi B anymore. Chinky eye, I'm done,
Right. Yeah.
But
I know there was some other person too that Summer Walker, speaking of artists, that she's one early days of COVID, she made some comments despairing of Asians. I didn't get like that one was not teachable. It wasn't like I'm ignorant.
Walker,
she seemed pretty adamant.
There was another rapper too that said some shit. I can't remember.
Right.
But
I'm like, so it's situation by situation. It's like if I can't determine that you can be educated, then yeah. So you gotta take it take it easy. Like, look at it, sit down, have some time before you like start coming after people, and make it a personal. It's your personal choice. You don't necessarily have to call the mob on everybody.
Yeah, but that's just the culture
Yeah.
we live in right now. But
Mm-hmm.
thank you guys for tuning in to another episodes of Everything Always Works Out podcast. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify. I believe we're on iTunes now.
Mm-hmm.
We're on
Oh, we're on
YouTube.
iTunes.
I believe so.
Okay.
I think we got the. I'm not 100% sure. So if you're listening to
All
this
right.
and you're watching this on YouTube or Anchor or Spotify, I think I got the email. I saw it because I was checking our emails today. But
Oh, okay.
we're definitely going to be coming out with some flyers to better promote our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Alonzo are going to try to be super consistent. No guarantees, but I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna figure out a day where we always want our episode to drop, and it's most likely gonna be Wednesday or Thursday for our podcast. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we definitely, ideally, I would be face to face with Alonzo right now. I mean, that's how
Mm-hmm.
right before COVID started. That's what we initially wanted to do, and
But right now we're just recording it virtually.
yeah, right now, yeah. I mean, I know we could be doing, live video stream or, doing Twitch, but, right
Mm-hmm.
now we want to keep getting better at this.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely in the comment section below, or if you could leave a review, let us know, what you think what we're talking about, what you'd like to hear from us, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
insight, and, things that we can improve on. But,
Yep.
thanks for tuning in. But yeah, youtube.com/ETAWO podcast. Same thing for Instagram, same thing for Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And my handle on Instagram is real art hurts, and for Alonzo
Mine's
it's
DJ Zobe1.
DJ Zobe1. So yeah,
Yep.
so you guys,
Yeah. And everything always works out, right?
yeah, stay positive.
Stay positive.
That's all. That's all
Yeah.
we could do right now. Take it
Yeah.
day by day. Try not to stress out. If you're going through
Yeah.
stuff, get some help.
Reach out to
Reach
somebody.
Reach out to someone. Check it out. Check up
Yeah.
on that friend. Who's cooped up in their house doing nothing.
Mhm. All right.
All right. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.